Hey everyone, it's Mike from the Cantina Cast, and I thought I would give a little intro to what you're about to hear. What you're about to hear is episode 1 of the Cantina After Dark, which is over on our Patreon page. It's the podcast that we exclusively do over on our Patreon page. So I thought to entice some of you and maybe give you guys a better understanding of what it actually is, I would release the first episode, which we did about a month ago. So those are on our Patreon page. They've already listened to this and gave us some feedback and stuff. So I thought I would give a little intro of what you're about to hear. If you want to join our Patreon page so you can get this, the Cantina After Dark, I'll leave a link in the description. And just a heads up, it costs $2 to get the Cantina After Dark, but you also get the episodes of the regular show. As soon as I'm done editing, they'll be released on our Patreon page, and you can download it that way if you want. If you just don't want to wait, we got those character dissections that you guys all love or stuff like that. If you want to get it right away, it'll be right there. And you can go there. And if you want to just go over there and get the episodes from the regular show, it costs $1 for that. And that's pretty much it. So I'll leave a link in the description below in the show notes, and you can just click over and check that out. So without further ado, here's episode 1 of CAD. Welcome, Patreon subscribers. Is it subscribers? I don't know what they call it. Is it just Patreons? I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, welcome to I guess it's the first episode. Actually, it's episode 2 technically, because we tried this before, but we're going to start fresh. So this is episode 1 of the Cantina After Dark, which is something we wanted to do for a while. And Joe, I think you even tweeted a couple of months ago, the Cantina After Dark is coming soon, and we kind of brushed it aside, and then fiddling around, I decided, I want to relaunch the Patreon thing. And here we are. We're doing it now. So the content you're getting now, you can only find it here on Patreon. You're not going to find it anywhere else. This is where it is. And what Cantina After Dark is basically the after show. There's a topic that we're going to talk about in a little bit, which was going to be part of the show that we just did, which was recorded at episode 180, I believe it was, Joa. And we cut something from the show. So a lot of the show might be that, where we take the content that we cut from the main show, the Cantina Cast, and we're going to talk about it here. But we're going to let our hair down a little bit more. We'll have a few beers. We're going to joke and laugh and maybe go a little bit off topic. But hopefully we'll have some fun. And if you have any feedback for what we should do on the show, or if you have any questions or anything, just let us know. You're a Patreon. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, and all that other stuff. So with the Patreon itself, we're going to be adding other content as well. I'm not going to get into it now because as the time we're recording this, we're still fine-tuning what the perks will be. But I will have my own vlog on this where I'm talking about Star Wars podcasting and the trials and tribulations of that and stuff. And Joe will jump in when he can. He's busy with the content with the main show, doing those things. But I'm kind of responsible for kind of shaping out where this is going to be and stuff like that. So in any case, Joe, welcome to the Cantina After Dark. I feel like we should have some sexy voice introing us in or something like that. I don't know. It sounds very sexy.
Well,
I don't know.
I think Obi-Wan would he would say hello there. Yeah.
We got George.
That's my line. It's a great piece of dialogue that I had both Alec and Ewan say hello there.
Yeah, that's what inspired you to do that, George?
Well, everybody complains, because I come from the silent film, movie era, and what better way to say hello than saying hello?
Let me ask you, George. Should you have made the prequels a silent film?
Well, some people say, I should have done that with the original Star Wars, and I think back, and maybe that's what the special edition should have been. And Johnny, his music was so great, and maybe I should have went there and just went full blown. And who wants to hear Hayden Christensen talk anyway? So,
all right, well that's fair enough. I thought he did a good job. I mean, do you regret anything with the prequels at all?
Well, the rumor is I wanted Leonardo DiCaprio and, to play Anakin Skywalker. And, I did want him. But, after he did that little Titanic movie, I thought it'd be I tried to get the guys from NSYNC, and Justin Timberlake he just wasn't available. So we got Hayden. He kind of looked like an NSYNC guy back then. So it worked out for the best, I think. Well, at least we had Natalie Portman, and God knows I love her.
Let me ask you your thoughts on them taking JJ for the Force Awakens. What did you think of that, George?
Well, I don't know what JJ stands for. And I mean by that is I don't know what the letters JJ stand for. I know what he stands for. He's a big fan of mine, and who isn't, obviously. So,
are you a fan of you?
No, but my wife is, and my kids are. They really love me a lot, and
that's good.
Yeah, I don't think too much of myself, besides that I'm a billionaire, and Disney bought my company for $4 billion, Besides that, everything's, pretty kosher, and, I had a little money before that.
Oh, all right. So do you even like The Force Awakens? I heard you struggled with it. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I thought Harrison was absolutely brilliant. I would have put Mark in it a little more, and Carrie as well. Daisy Ridley, and John Boyega, they were, they're fine young actors, but they're more of the new age of acting, and they want the realism, and they're acting like...
Oh, was it wooden enough for you?
They're acting like real human beings, and it's just not my style.
No, you like it wooden 1930s dialogue. Am I correct with that?
If they didn't say a word, I would have been just fine with that. Chewie just roaring throughout the entire movie would have, might have even trumped Johnny's soundtrack.
Let me ask you, George, where do you stand on Chewie wearing pants or not wearing pants?
Well, it's my vision, and no one else's, and Fox wasn't going to tell me to put later hosen on him, and Mark said that to me, back in whatever it was, 1976, and he said, "Why is it?" And the board came to me, and they said, "It's a big dog, and he should be wearing pants." And I said, "Well, dogs don't wear pants," and and I said, if you want Howard the Duck, you're not, you got to let me do what I got to do here on Star Wars if you want that production from me.
Let me ask you this, George. Now, when I was a kid, Howard the Duck is a very underrated film. Don't you feel that way as well? I mean, I thought it was a brilliant film.
Well, Leah Thompson, was great in Back to the Future. Not so much in Howard the Duck. It's one of my great regrets. Of
really,
my life.
I thought it was one of your better films. I thought it was better than Return of the Jedi.
Don't say Willow. Okay, Return of the Jedi. It might have been better than Return of the Jedi, but it wasn't better than Willow.
Is Willow your favorite movie that you've ever done?
It came from a special place in my heart, and I've always wanted to do movies with little people, and and that came from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, where I almost cast the entire Star Wars cast as little people, and that's a true story.
Oh, is it? I wasn't aware of that, George. That's very interesting. What other movies what movies inspired you, George? Let me ask you this. Have you heard of Mike Climo's ring theory at all?
Yeah, I think that guy's crazy. First of all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, he wants to speak, for me, and I'm not actually that smart. Like that guy makes me seem a lot smarter than I actually am. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I personally think you just ripped off all the other films that you saw in the 30s and 40s, right? Is that a fair assessment or no?
Oh, I wouldn't call it ripping off. I would say I was inspired, Mike.
Isn't that fancy for saying I'm going to steal your material?
I'm a billionaire, Mike.
Well, that is true. Did you steal Kurosawa's vision as well? Kurosawa, sorry. Did I said that wrong?
I think the better word is influenced and borrowed, and
stolen.
These great people, they deserve to be nominated for Oscars, and obviously they never would have been if it weren't for me bringing their talent to the forefront.
Well, let me ask you, how do you feel about the Academy snubbing you so many times?
Well, they had me present Marty Scorsese for the Departed a few years ago, and for best director, and it was the big joke, because Steven was up there with me, and Francis, and everybody had won, best director by then, and even my ex-wife, Marcia, has won an Academy Award, and here I sit, and I've only got the special award, so
Yeah, well, isn't that... Well, where do you put that award that you got, that special award?
Yeah, I sold that to Disney as well.
Oh, did you?
Was
that
Yeah, it was. Actually, I sold Disney for $403, and that was the extra $3. I just gave them that trophy.
Oh, do you regret selling to Disney at all?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I could have made a better episode 7. I mean, obviously, I would have told you right from the forefront who Rey was. Obviously, she's Darth Vader's granddaughter. And I wouldn't have told you who her actual parents were. But, maybe Darth Vader had something going on the side. But she's definitely related to Darth Vader. I have the inside information.
Oh, did you... Do you miss using your yellow highlighter in the movies? Do you miss doing that?
I use it every day to teach my young child to potty train.
Well, that's very interesting. I've never done that method myself, so yeah, I'm curious how you do that. But we'll save that for another day and whatnot. So, George, what have you been up to? I noticed you were, seen around the world. You were in Asia, eating in the food court by yourself, eating noodles. You wound up in some documentary behind some guy.
That wasn't me. None of that was me.
That wasn't you?
I don't leave the house.
Was that no? What are you, like Howard Hughes? You just stay in the house?
I'm not a pilot, Mike.
Oh, well, true. I mean, Harrison's the pilot. What do you think of Harrison's flying? Would you fly with Harrison?
I think he might be getting a little too old for it. I mean, they're almost going to take my driver's license at this point, and they're letting this guy fly. I mean, he's older than I am.
Let me ask you this. Is that line in Indiana Jones, flying yes, landing no, is that inspired by Harrison's flying abilities? Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I mean, I like to consider myself a Nostradamus, so I knew these things were coming, and, Harrison always, liked to fly, and you like to fly, and eventually you crash, and I mean, that's what happens, even in Star Wars.
Gravity wins in the end, right?
Well, in my universe, Mike, gravity isn't really real.
Oh, okay. Star Wars isn't real?
It's a metaphor, Mike. You can like it or not, whatever.
You don't care. Right, you do, because you're a millionaire. You don't care.
Mike, I'm not a millionaire. I'm a billionaire.
I'm sorry.
That's why I don't. That's why I don't care.
I didn't mean to insult you. I'm so very sorry, sir. So what else have you been up to? You got doubles walking around, I guess, and you're just sitting in your house. What do you watch in your house? What do you, besides the kid with the highlighter and the potty training? What do you watch? Do you watch Star Wars films, or what do you do?
Mike, I don't watch that. I've seen them all too many times. I've been in the editing room, and I've had to kick, Marsha out in the day, and I said, this isn't the way I wanted edited, and, and yet they still give her the Academy Award, and well, hello there, and Joa's back, and I can't do this anymore.
Oh, come on. We're having so much fun. I mean, that was my best interview ever. Out of everybody, you were my best interview, and it wasn't even the real George.
I felt like I was losing the voice so many times. Like, I know, I don't do a perfect George Lucas impression by any
I'm here
stretch,
now.
but...
I've returned. I'm right here.
George,
yeah.
You've cut Mike off now, and you've obviously you have secret CIA weapons to be able to...
Oh, yeah. Well, I am the CIA, Joe.
Yeah, and so you're able to just come in on the Cantina cast anytime you want. I wonder why you've never done it on an actual episode, though, of the Cantina cast. Maybe when we were breaking down Darth Vader, your most proclaimed character ever. Like, why didn't you feel the need to come in and talk about Darth Vader with us?
Well, frankly, I'm just, it's boring.
So Darth Vader is boring. So
no, the Cantina cast.
oh
Yeah. I find you and
why are you
Mike
here now then?
because it's after dark.
It's after dark, and you think you're gonna get some alcohol out of this.
Well, yes. I
You're
can't
a
lie.
billionaire.
Yeah.
You're a billionaire.
I know.
Buy
But
your own alcohol.
well, I prefer you and Mike's alcohol. Yeah. All right. I can't do this either. All right. You can only
I can't
take it
believe
so
I
far.
took it on for 10 minutes.
I know. I'm a little surprised by that as well. But anyway, well, that did go on longer than I really thought, the whole George thing. But that was fun. But anyway, so I guess we should get into this little topic that was going to be on the show, Joe. We should get into your topic that you had was the Ewoks eating the stormtroopers. Did it happen? Did it not happen? I'm not sure why you came up with this crazy topic. Why
It's come up a couple times on social media. I feel like I don't feel like that there's any doubt that
because I
Ewok-
thought in the
because they were
comic
they're can't. I mean, well, they're not cannibals because they're not eating other human beings because they're not human beings. So it's not really that far fetched of a thing. They were going to roast Han and Luke, and then you just see these stormtrooper helmets. They're banging on them on the drums. Where are the bodies?
they ate them, and there's that joke that's in the comic, Shattered Empire, where one guy's eating the thing. He says, "Oh, this is good," or whatever, not realizing that that is. Stormtrooper you're eating. I took it as yes, they did. I know when I was a kid and I saw Return of the Jedi, it seemed weird to me, but I didn't put it together till later on in life where it's like, oh, they actually ate the stormtroopers. Like they feasted off of the stormtroopers.
I don't know that was necessarily something they were going for, but I think
it's what I wanted to do because I eat stormtroopers. But I'm sorry, I'm gonna go over here and make a drink. Sorry.
But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you sit here and you think about it. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, it would feed their village for, how many months, how many stormtroopers they were able to knock out or kill or whatever. And, I mean, heck, I mean, they might have ate some of them alive. I mean, you don't know these Ewoks. I mean, they're primitive, man. I mean, and they're doing what they want. And,
Well, see, I hate Ewoks. I really do. Hate Ewoks.
Well, maybe we all should if they eat human beings.
Well, I think they're vile creatures. As they are.
I imagine they're dirty. Like I don't imagine they clean themselves very well. Like I imagine their hair gets matted and it's all trashy and nasty, and they probably smell.
So is
really
the trash
bad.
panda? Is what you're saying?
They're cute looking, but like I imagine their smell is absolutely repugnant.
Well, here's the thing: they're gonna eat Han, Luke, and the gang and Chewie. And I'm surprised they didn't. They're like, oh, that's a bigger one of us. Like they reacted to Chewie like the same way. I don't get that.
Originally,
but Leia,
it was supposed to be our Wookiees in the Return of the Jedi, and they had to change it because I guess it was easier to find small people than a bunch of tall people. I guess I don't. They say it was a money thing, or they couldn't pull it off for whatever reason that was. I guess there's probably a lot more smaller people than there are 7-footers. I don't know about in today's day and age because, you could just hire people in the NBA and there's plenty of people who could do it. But,
Well, he used CGI in Revenge of the Sith. So, I mean, it's there now. But, yeah, it's weird because Leia gets the treatment. She gets a dress and everything else. And, but then
she gave him a Snickers. She's like, are you, you're
so that's the key to the... That's the key to the heart. Is just give him a Snickers bar. Is that it?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, he's Wicket, and then he gets the Snickers bar, and then he becomes, it's like the Snicker. Who would he become? I don't know.
Wicked. That's what he is. He's wicked. I don't know. But
he became Wicked. No, he became. I don't know who's a good one. I don't know. Who did he become in Star Wars? He became. I don't know. I don't know who would be good. He became Leia. He transformed into Leia, and then that was actually Wicket leading them and saying, "No, you can't do that. Let my friends go."
Yeah, I don't understand how giving maybe a whatchamacallit. Maybe it was a whatchamacallit bar. Although I can see the
$1 million
Snickers
bar,
thing.
or maybe it was George saying, "Hey, give him this $1 billion bar. Give him this $1 billion bar."
I'm partial to Three Musketeers, Mike. Yeah. But actually, I do like Three Musketeers. That's my preferred candy bar. Although I like Milky Way as well.
Twix for me.
Twix. You can't go wrong with Twix.
Twix, Kit Kat, Reese's.
Yeah.
I like
Rolos are very
butter.
underrated Rolos are underrated. I'll say that. I love Rolos.
They must be, because I can't remember the last time I've even had one. What is it? Caramel and chocolate?
Yes, sir.
See, this is the kind of stuff we're going to talk about on Cantina After Dark. This is where we want to go. Ewoks lead us to Rolos.
Well, Rolos are good. I think that's what it was. Well, actually, I think it was.
I'm sure I've had one, but probably not in the last 20 years.
Oh, wow. I get excited when I'm at the snack machine at work and I see them in the machine, and I'm like,
I don't even see them anywhere. Like, I know they must. If I sought them out, I'm sure I could find it. But I don't even see them. Hard like even in the impulse area in the grocery store, I don't even notice them. Like, I can't remember the last time I've seen one.
It's hard to compete with M&Ms and Reese's peanut butter cups and all that
or
good stuff.
All the nice Frito-Lay product. You got the nice chips and everything. Shout out to work.
Yeah, you got those as well. But I don't know.
Talking about some Frito-Lay. Funyuns. Are you a Funyun fan?
I am, actually.
Yes,
funny about Funyuns.
We've never talked about this. But I love, Funyuns, like, I don't eat them enough, but, obviously, you probably shouldn't eat them that often, any of it, but Funyuns, what's your favorite Dorito, though? Mine is
the chili.
Chili? Mine is Cool Ranch.
Yeah, everyone, that's why my wife is the Cool Ranch. I personally like the chili. I like it a little spicy, man. That's what I got to go with. But back to Funyuns. I used to eat them like religiously as a kid, all the time.
And they'll rip your tongue apart, but you still eat them. Like they make your tongue like really raw. Because
I don't recall that.
Well, they're kind of rough to eat a little bit.
You selling shards of glass with your bags? What's going on there?
They're kind of a rough chip, I guess you would call it. I don't know. What are they? They're not onion. They're not actual onions, but they're meant to be.
No, that's always a disappointment because I like onion rings, and that's when you get your Funyuns, you get them. I remember when being a kid and you get it, you're like, oh yeah, onion rings, and you get them, you're like, wait a minute, this is just air that tastes like onion, but it's good, and you want more of it. So it's not a bad thing. But anyway, you think the Ewoks would have liked Funyuns? I think they would. I think they
would have had a lot of fun with Funyuns.
You can't go wrong with the Funyuns. You know what I mean? But in any case, let's get back to the Ewoks there. To the original question, do you think, yes, I think we both unequivocally think they ate the stormtroopers. No, yes,
well,
maybe,
easily. I don't think it's a question. Why wouldn't they? They were going to eat people, and then they've got all these bodies to harvest. They've got to feed these, all these little bears and their little kids, and everybody's got to eat, right? What are they going to eat? Well, the leaves? Obviously, they're carnivores.
They're omnivore. I took it like they're like a bear, like an omnivore. They'll eat like little nuts and berries, but they'll also eat the flesh, for the substance and stuff like that. So I took it as they were omnivore, like a little bear. They were little teddy bears. So
I guess I didn't know what an omnivore was.
Well, it eats meat and veggie stuff.
Oh, so that's what we are.
Yes, correct. We'll eat everything.
Yeah, we eat everything. What would you call my dog? Because she also eats cat poop. So I don't know if that has a special word. So
I would call that weird. But, dogs are weird. So
dogs literally will eat anything. So anyway, we'll move on. We don't want to go much into that. But
my dog doesn't. He's kind of normal, actually, which is surprising. But anyway, I also have another topic to discuss, Joe, which is what the Emperor says to Vader when they're in Empire Strikes Back, when he says, about Luke being the new threat and everything. And he says, Vader says, well, he can be turned. And the Emperor says, can it be done? Well, yeah, duh. You turned Vader, his father, into the dark side. Why wouldn't this be done? Granted, at the time, it wasn't known that Vader was Luke's dad.
To them it would be, because they're making the movie, and that was the movie they were in, and they knew what they were going to do with that movie.
Correct. Yeah, but I'm saying as the audience, you don't know that.
Yeah, that point. You're speaking to the naive audience at that point. But here's the thing, I think, is that, I think he's also asking Vader, can you do it? Can you turn your own son to the dark side? So isn't that part of it as well?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I think you're probably right on that because, as he says to him in Return of the Jedi, I wonder if you're...
This is Vader's ultimate test right here, I think, is being
it's his big trial. Maybe let me ask you this. If he fails at this, is this like the Emperor saying, well, you're not worthy to be my my apprentice anyway.
Well, everything we saw in these comics and stuff where they were testing him, I mean, maybe this would be the final test, and if he can turn him, well then, I mean, but he's still probably gonna get rid of Vader though. So I mean, what does it matter? You succeed by dying here. Is
true.
Either way, Vader was going to die in this scenario, according to the Emperor.
The Emperor's mind. Well, then he says, "I wonder if if matters are clear to you." He says that. I wonder if when he's in Empire and Vader comes over on the ship and everything else, and Vader's kind of like, "Oh, well, I'm just trying to report to you there, Dad," or whatever it is. And
I think that the fact is that things were clear to Vader.
More so than the Emperor.
More so than the Emperor, and that's the odd thing about it. But at the same time, maybe they weren't clear, but they were clear, like, because that conflict is we talked about this on 180, and we dropped this from like we say, we dropped these topics from the show, and so that's the kind of funny thing about this episode is obviously it's silly, and we talked about other things as well, but and then the talk about these episodes that are this stuff that doesn't make the show, and we're like, no, this isn't good enough to make. Not that it's not good enough to make the Cantina cast, but it's like we don't have time to do this, so let's just drop it and do it here. And so it's funny that Vader. I don't know that he was thinking clearly. It's just that conflict type thing, like where are you starting to think more clearly because you have conflict, or does it cloud your mind, like, or are you starting to see things for what they really are because of the conflict, because the light is starting to come in and show you the right way, the true way, what you should be doing, the moral way, or is the conflict just clouding your mind and making you all jumbled up? It's a hard thing to say because I don't know. I'm not pure evil, and I've never killed a bunch of kids, so I don't. It's hard for me to get in Vader's mind at this point.
Yeah, but Vader wasn't pure evil. It goes back to that plague. I agree. It goes back to that Plagueis book where they said, a Jedi could never be truly a Sith because there's always that good in them. Whereas Palpatine was just evil, suicidal, well, not suicidal, but homicidal.
I don't think so.
I mean, homicidal.
He's
crazy.
Not me.
Yeah, he was crazy and just, killed his family, all these. Of course, this is the Plagueis novel, if you go off of that, and that's what we're going to use as a template here because that's all we have at the moment. So he was just pure evil. There was no redeeming factor for him, but there's a redeeming factor for Vader because there's that hope. He had his children Vader, and everything.
Yeah, because according to Adam, he has the personality, the what is it? The personality disorder of
disassociation.
No, he just had oh my God, I can't think of the word. But he had the same thing as Kylo Ren, but they had different diagnoses, but they were described as the same thing. But Palpatine is the narcissist. Palpatine is a narcissist person, but Vader is not that because Vader wants family, and they're both they have these it's not the oh my God, I can't think of it, but it's it's basically a personality disorder, what Kylo Ren and Vader have, according
antisocial? It's not the antisocial.
No. Oh my God, Adam's going to kill us.
Yeah, probably.
Well, he won't hear this unless he gives us money, and we know he ain't going to do that. We should probably pay him money, but oh my God, Mike, what multiple personality? It's something like that. It's not that, but it's something like that. Anyway, they have the personality disorder, and then I'm just being an idiot right now and can't think. I know what it is, but the word isn't coming to my mind. Anyway, we'll move on. But Palpatine is definitely the narcissist. I know that is the personality disorder he has, is the narcissist. So he is as you say, going to pure evil is a completely different type of a person. Like, he doesn't have those moral groundings that Vader had or anything like that. So it's even Vader, when he turns and does all these horrible things, he still has this where he did good things and he was at one point a good person, and then it becomes disassociative, and he detaches his life from the previous one, and that's where the PSTD and everything else came in, which what we discussed with Adam. So, yeah, I mean, Palpatine is definitely the pure evil, and I don't even know if we're still on topic, but I guess that's the point.
Yeah, well, this is like the after show, so it doesn't matter. Well, let me ask you this, because I'm drinking a beer here, and
me too.
Yeah, well, I'm going with the Yingling Black and Tan tonight.
I'm going with the IPA Hop Hunter by Sierra Nevada.
Not bad. I've had that. That's not too bad. But and we might give a beer review eventually as we go through this. We might not tonight, but maybe another episode if we survive that long. Is what character, if you could have any character in the galaxy, I know this sounds cheesy like a segment or whatever, but what character would you sit down and have a beer with in the galaxy? Which one would you pick?
Ooh, this is a twofold question. Because do I want the beer to affect them?
Oh, well, I didn't think of it that way.
Then, unfortunately, like, I mean, I don't mean to sound this like a creeper, but I might have to choose a woman.
That's well, this is why you pay money to hear
I want
us.
them to get a little, hey, let's have a conversation. Can I buy you a drink?
You let the inhibitions down.
I'm not talking about getting them,
Yeah,
I'm not talking about putting something in their drink and hurting them.
No. You want the info. Well, you want the truth serum.
Well, it's like maybe I want to, let's get to know each other a little bit. Like, so it would be that. So if it's, let me go two here.
Oh,
let me go man and woman. Because if it was a woman, you know what? And it wouldn't be what you think. I think I would choose Rey because I want to know. Well, you know what? I think it would be more Daisy because I want to know what she knows. Because Rey doesn't know the answer, but Daisy does.
Well, this is character. We're going character.
Okay, character. Yeah. Ooh, man. Oh, I guess. I mean, I know this is easy, but Luke. Like Luke now, like Luke as we know him in The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens.
Well, he's the most compelling probably at this point.
It's like, what happened to you, man?
Well, to be fair,
he just seems like the old guy who would come in the bar and be like, "Give me a beer."
Actually, I was just going to say, he's probably already drunk going to the bar, so you might be able to get something out of him then. Like he's the drunk guy who just walks in, uses the mind trick, not the mind trick, but he uses the Force to get his own beer. Like it just comes to him, is like,
well,
yeah, and he's not even
person you'd want to have a beer with. You wouldn't want to have a beer with Palpatine. Like that would be horrible because what would he do? Like, I mean, it wouldn't be fun. And
I am drinking this rum and it's beautiful.
He wouldn't, because he wouldn't do it and he wouldn't give into it.
You don't think he'd get drunk?
I don't know. I don't think he would.
Because he's always controlling. He's not into the.
He can't be influenced by like outside sources and stuff. So like he can't do that. And even if he did, he would be using the Force to like stop himself from getting as drunk. Like, and
I like some sparkling cider.
Just give me some. Maybe he has a little bit of red.
Do you have the O'Douls back there? Give me the O'Douls.
It's an O'Douls. Thanks for asking. So I mean, but Palpatine wouldn't. I don't think it would be any fun to have a conversation with him. I mean, at this point,
I'm a little insulted, Joa.
At this point where we're at, I think Luke would be the obvious.
Well, he's the most compelling
choice. I mean,
well, because he already looks like a drunk. That's part of it, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, he's so recluse. I mean, you just feel like he needs to go into a bar and just like let his sorrows out. Like he needs to drink away his sorrows.
I was once a Jedi. I was so awesome. I blew up the Death Star.
I mean, if I was trying to, like, if I'm going to drink a little wine and stuff like that and try to romance him, I mean, obviously Padme's on the table, obviously, I mean, I think she's the one, but I don't think she would be much fun either. She would be like,
I would be doing my duty.
Yeah. Like I have to be clear-minded in the morning. Like she's more of a Jedi than Anakin is. Like, it's like, get out of here. It's like, none of these girls are any fun in Star Wars. Like, have a drink.
All right, so what is your pick for this episode? Who are you going to go for? A guy, We established as Luke, right?
Yeah, Luke, and I guess
For the woman. For the women. Maz?
No, you know what? I think Leia could. Maybe I'm just associating this with Carrie, but I think Leia could put some Carillion ale down.
Well, that would be a fun time, I would have to say. Well, for me, I would probably, like you, I would go with Luke because Luke is the most intriguing, and because it's Luke, it's my favorite character, and I would love to know what's going on there. Like, why are you so crazy in the head now? Like, what made you go all the way? I know your nephew turned, but it has to be more than just your nephew going to the dark side. Yeah, he slaughtered your whole Jedi Order. I get that. But is that enough for you to go abandon your sister, your best friend, R2? Yeah, is it that? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, people, they get traumatic things and they like just check out. I get that. But he had such a bond with Leia and even with Han. You would think they would help him pull through, like he'd go to them for help.
But did he have to change so much to become the Jedi Master, the Grand Master? And he said, the things that you guys are doing, I can't. You've said it before on the podcast, like I can't be associated with
the Republic,
the Republic and the Resistance and all these things. The Jedi need to be a separate thing and not be involved in the politics this time. And
True.
maybe that's where we don't know that for a fact, but I mean, we're guessing and speculating, but maybe that's it. And maybe that created some kind of a rift with Leia. And then she reached out to him and said, hey, my son's having a difficult time. Would you consider training him? And then she sent Ben off and then all things went to hell and all that. And then it's like, and then Luke doesn't know what to do. Luke's like, my life has just been utter shit. Yeah. And I don't, I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of my life going to hell. And I'd rather just be on this planet by myself. Like, I don't know. I mean,
I'm curious.
I don't know what would any of us do? I mean, everybody sits here and judges Luke, and I've seen people call Luke a coward. I've seen people on social media say, oh, well, now our hero in the original trilogy, now he's just a coward. But we don't know the real reason. We don't know why he's doing what he's doing. You can't say those things just yet because we don't know the full story. But even so, even if it's
wars not make one great.
Even if it's everything you think it is, what would you do in that situation? What could you do in that situation? I mean, I think a lot of us might, if exile was a choice, I think a lot of us might choose that. So
that's the Jedi way.
I don't know that it's necessarily right to judge somebody on something that a lot of us might really do. And maybe some of us won't, say, well, I wouldn't do that. But really, let's really think about it. If all the stuff that happened throughout your entire life happened in Luke's life, if that all happened, at some point, isn't it just like, just let this end? Just it's a lot. It's a lot to take.
Yeah, I mean, both twins really have taken a beating emotionally when you think about it. But I'm wondering how that conversation came when Ben was born, and obviously he's strong in the Force, and Luke would know that. How'd that conversation go? Did Leia say, no, we don't want him trained in the Jedi way, and he just became too powerful, and it's like we suspected that he killed his sibling at some point, and then obviously we got to take the troubled youth, like sending him off to the military school and send him off to Uncle Luke's academy and learn how to control this power that he has, because it's raw, it's crazy, it's off the charts, it's like Anakin's was, that type of stuff. So I'm curious how that went initially, and then what happens in between there. I mean, obviously, maybe Luke was very close to him as if he was his own son in a way, like, and they got really close. And I like to think, as I always say, Luke is going to tell the truth and be very honest about things, and that's why I think Ben knew about Vader long before they find out in Bloodlines and all that, like it gets broadcast. I think he knew well before that, because I think maybe he even probed into Luke's mind at one point, because he can do that. And maybe Luke was asleep or something, and then something happened. that type of stuff. But I wouldn't call Luke a coward in a sense, because in my rationale, the way I'm seeing it now, is Luke would have gone off to figure out the answer. And we said this after the Force Awakens, Joe, when we saw it in our review show. I think maybe even the initial reaction, we said, I think Luke went off to find what not the real truth, but like how he needs to defeat Snoke and the First Order, and how he's going to take care of his nephew in a way. How does he redeem him? Because I get the feeling the way Leia or Han talked is like, well, Luke couldn't save him, and as Leia says, well, he's not his father. Like Han's doubting that as well. And it turns out Han was right and should have listened to his gut like he normally does. But, Leia said, go do it. And he's like, all right, I'll go do it. This is weird, but I'll go do it, But back to my point, I would actually have a drink with Han. Actually, that would be interesting because of all of his adventures and stuff like that. But before I get into my other pick for a drink, what do you think of my thoughts there with Luke? Because I don't see him as a coward at all.
Well, no, I mean, I was just pointing that out because I've seen other people on social media, and I think that little behind the scenes stuff here, a lot of the stuff we say when we play devil's advocate is because we see stuff on social media, like somebody will post an article or a topic on Facebook or whatever, and we see the feedback that it gets. And we base a lot of our devil's advocate on those people like attacking The Force Awakens or attacking this or saying something about that. And we might not necessarily believe it, but we bring it up on the show because we see that there are enough people saying stuff that it's something out there that people are thinking. And so we want to comment on it. We want to have a commentary on it. So, as far as Luke being a coward, I don't believe that necessarily yet. I mean, obviously they could write the story in such a way that it could be true. I don't think that that's where they're going to go with it. Why would you want to but then again, you had Mark Hamill say, I disagree fundamentally with everything you did about my character. At one point he said that to Rian Johnson, and maybe because maybe he came off as a coward. We don't know. I mean, maybe that's the way he came off to Mark Hamill, and that's why he didn't want to be that way. And then maybe eventually it redeems itself. We don't know. I mean, maybe at one point it does come off as cowardice, but they're not going to let Luke right off into the sunset as being a coward at the end of the day. You can't do that.
Well, there's got to be a bit of redemption with him. As I suspected, I think Rey pulls him back to the light and to the Jedi way, in a way. That's my thinking at this point. I mean, I could be wrong. I just think that if she is Luke's, and I go, like I said 100 times on the podcast since we've done Rey is not a Skywalker, I change my mind like every 10 minutes on if she is or isn't. Today, I'm actually leaning that she isn't, but that could change in 5 minutes when we get off here or whatever. But I don't think I forget where I was going to go with my thought. But in any case, I think that he wouldn't be a coward when it comes down to it. I think it's more of he's got to find things out and go where he's got to go. It's more of for him, it's a philosophical, moral issue. It's not like I'm a coward because I didn't go fight a war or that I didn't need to be in and be like the Jedi before me and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's more of all right, what is the right answer instead of just rushing in with a lightsaber and hacking people up and causing more damage than anything else? Because my family has a history of causing a lot of havoc in the galaxy. We've done enough of damage. I need to find the right answer in order to make things actually right for the future. For once, you know what I mean? Does that seem fair to you?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing we take for granted, though, on the Cantina cast with me and you, Mike, is when he says the Jedi must end, I think we take that as the Skywalkers must end. Like, I think we think of that as the same thing, and I think that maybe that's jumping the gun a little bit when we think that. But the fact is that he's the only Jedi left, and, Anakin was who he was and was, the chosen one or born of the Force or whatever. and all of these things. So it kind of leads from one thing to another. But at the end of the day, that's not necessarily a given. That just because the Jedi must end, the Skywalkers must end. But I think we jump to that conclusion a lot. And it's it's hard not to jump to that conclusion. So I'm not going to write it off, but I just want to point that out, that I know that we do that on the podcast, recently. But, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's a coward. And I don't think that they're going to write it that way. I don't think that he's dark side. I don't think that he's this. There are some, I mean, you could even, if you wanted to, you could make a theory out that he's Snoke. I mean, you could make that. Oh,
you
theory.
Went there. You did.
Why not?
Knew.
It's after dark. It's after dark.
I know. This is the kind of stuff that'll happen. But go ahead. Explain your theory.
My original theory was that Leia was Snoke. Because she wanted all the same things that Snoke did. She wanted Kylo Ren to confront, or she wanted Han to confront Kylo Ren. Snoke wanted Kylo to confront Kylo Ren. And then you start seeing all these other little things in The Force Awakens, and they all start kind of adding up.
Yeah, but that's the Star Wars way to mirror things.
Yeah, I get that, but you could rhyme and reason it. And then I started thinking, well, wait a minute. He says, bring her to me. And where does she end up? She ends up with Luke. Well, maybe she did end up with Snoke. So I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying this is sometimes where my mind goes.
Well, in a way.
I'm trying to think of things. I'm not saying I believe it, Mike, but I know. These are things that run through my mind. And one
could look at it this way. As you'd pointed out when we were going back, and I thought you were crazy, and I was yelling at you on our texts and everything. You said, but they want the same things, as you would point out with Leia. Luke wants the Jedi to end. Snoke wants the Jedi to end as well. So why are they fighting? Why wouldn't they kind of just this is it?
And he said, bring her to me, and she ends up with Luke. Well, who's to say that wasn't the eventual course for that to happen? So I don't think that that's real. I don't think that it could be, but maybe that's a prelude to episode 181 for your Snoke theory rocks. But, I don't think that that's true. I don't think that any of that's true. I don't think it's Leia or Luke. But these things have to cross your mind. I mean, but everything I think doesn't end up on the podcast. Everything I think doesn't end up on the internet. Usually it does end up in a text message to you. But other than that, it doesn't end up as some official thing that I'm thinking. Because here's the thing, when, seeing as how we are after dark, the way I come up with stuff is I'm pitching stuff to Mike. And if Mike initially likes it, I'm like, okay, it's an episode. Because if Mike gets on board with it, I'm like, okay, we can do an episode. If he's like, I don't know, or he argues with me, I'm like, okay, it's probably not an episode because he's just going to argue with me. There has to be some agreement factor there with it. And, usually I'd say 90% of the time when I come at you with something for a show, you're usually on board, and you're like, okay, yeah. And then we just do it. And
what usually happens with even the iffy ones, we go back and forth and then we hash it out and it kind of makes sense and we can do an episode. We've had a few of those. We
can have a discussion, then we just do the episode. Even if we don't agree, if we're like, okay, this is a good discussion, then we'll do the episode.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a few of those, but we've actually had very rare where it's like, no, that ain't working. We ain't doing that. I mean, most stuff is pretty good to talk about. Even, the Snoke thing with. I mean, I see where you're going with it, but then again, you can make the point of what is the point of finding Luke if Snoke is Luke? Then what was the point in finding the map to Luke? You know what I mean? Why would that?
I don't know. Ask Palpatine.
All right. Well, I'm just saying that's just a gaping hole in the.
Is it until Palpatine explains it all? I'm just saying, not saying.
Palpatine,
you going with that? I'm saying the Palpatine, way of it, it's all manipulation. Like, it's all
Of
behind
course.
the scenes. But the only thing is like, we knew who Palpatine was in the prequels, and we saw him manipulating it, and only very naive people
I'll say
didn't
this.
realize that he was the Emperor the entire time. Like, if you didn't know he was, then I'm sorry. Then, I mean, the only word I can use is naive. Like, you had to know that Palpatine and the Emperor were the same person from the very beginning. And even as I say, like on 180, even back then, I wasn't even the biggest Star Wars fan, and even I knew that he was the Emperor the first time watching it. But anyway, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that, yeah, I mean, it could be this very laid out plot by somebody.
Well, I see where you're going, but I don't know. I mean,
I don't agree with it either.
I think maybe initially I'll go with this. A little bit of like spoiler stuff here. Is the fact that initially I think we all assumed when we saw him in the hologram that, okay, that's the old Wizard of Oz thing. He's not really that big, and that's probably not even him. Like, we assume maybe,
it's a woman.
okay, yeah, well, you thought Leia at the time or whatever, and I thought whoever. I didn't even have it. I think Snoke is Snoke.
It's Rey's mom.
Yeah, well, that's the other theory you have there.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of them coming up on that next episode. But but my point being is, so, and now you go forward and you see stuff that Jason's putting on Making Star Wars, where he's got this regal outfit on. They got these people that were playing this puppet thing where he's like 7 feet tall. So maybe he's bigger, and maybe he's actually that size or whatever he may be. So it's curious to think. I think maybe originally, Joa, maybe he was that type where you could get away with like your Leia theory, your Luke theory, or something else. But now it seems like he's actually a character. But then again, it goes back to what I said on the show a couple of times, even in the Raid episodes where she's not a Skywalker. We haven't heard much from Andy Serkis. Has he been on set? Was he this? Was he that? We haven't heard much of anything. We heard about these puppets and everything. So how much is Snoke going to be in it? And if he is in it, is Andy really doing the voice? Or was Andy just doing the, this is what my public appearance is and not my actual appearance, which is actually something Sidious would have done and all that other stuff. That's kind of a tradition in Star Wars. So I'm very interested. What are your thoughts on that? Any inkling, any feeling? I mean, I don't want to ruin anything for the Snoke episode, but I mean, people are paying for this one, so I guess we can say what we got to say. So what do you think?
I mean, that's the thing. I don't know that we've heard about. I mean, I guess we've heard some things about Snoke. If you look at the spoilers and stuff, I haven't paid as much attention to them this time as I was during The Force Awakens, because I just don't want to anymore. But on a certain level, you see things. Look at as much Star Wars stuff as I kind of have to, and so I run across it. But, I still don't think that he is who he looks like. I don't think that that's what he looks like. I think he's something else. Whether it's a man or it's a woman or it's this or that or
whatever.
I don't know. And I think that, I mean, Circus's voice could just be a voice that's used to project, and maybe they did the motion capture with that. Maybe maybe I'm completely wrong, but I mean, I just, for some reason, I don't believe that Snoke looks that way. I think that he looks like something more
completely
human.
Different. Yeah, well,
I think he's more human than what he gives off. And I think that, I don't know. I think the bigger question is where the hell Snoke is from, and why is he here now? And I guess we'll tackle that on 181, but or we won't, because we don't have any answers to it. But I don't know. Yeah,
it's a lot of the Aftermath book and even Thrawn. Although I didn't finish Thrawn, a lot of it, the unknown regions there, where it seems like Snoke probably came from there. If I had to guess offhand, I could be wrong. I don't know, but he is a mystery. But I think Snoke is just Snoke at the end of the day. I don't think he's anything we've seen before or someone we've seen before.
Like, he's not Plagueis, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I still would love that. I know people poo-poo that idea, but I would love to see Plagueis.
I don't know why people hate that idea so much, and
I don't either.
That includes our making Star Wars family.
Jason hates it, and
and even our buddy Jeremy, they hate it. Like everybody hates that idea. I don't understand why people hate the idea. I guess because it would undermine Palpatine.
But that would be great. I think that would be great. I mean, I know Palpatine was like the chess master, but it would be great if the master he killed somehow pulled a Qui-Gon and got him in the end. Like, I did learn the secret, and you never did. That would be kind of cool and very George-like. I think George, I would have done that, Mike. Yeah, of course. That's where I was going. Didn't you get the memo? That type of thing. So I think that would be cool, but I'm open to everything, honestly, at the end of the day.
I didn't mention him to episode 3, and so 3 times 3, obviously, he's not coming back till episode 9.
Oh, obviously. I mean, that's when we'll find the truth. And actually, Rey is Snoke.
It's simple multiplication, Mike.
Oh, well, I know you count differently than everybody else. Like, you start from 4, go to 5, then go to 1, and then, that whole thing. But that's fine.
Star Wars is, it's not binary. It's art.
Yeah. It's binary when you count your money, right? No?
I'm going to let R2 take over from here.
Oh, great. That'll be great. A bunch of beeps and boops. But anyway.
Binary.
Yeah, well, yes, it is, sir. Does it speak Bocce? Yes. It's like a second language to me, sir. Yeah, all right. Well, I guess we should leave it at that. Thank everyone for being a Patreon member and listening to Joe and I do our little after show, which is something we do every after show. We usually talk for an hour or two after the show, but we're only going to do about a little less than an hour, I guess you could say. No bells and whistles. There's no intros or anything like that, but this is the content you guys get. We like to improve on it as well. So if you have any, like I said, feedback or anything, get back to us and let us know.
My guess is that it's going to be less than 10 minutes of a horrible George Lucas interview.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I kind of feel bad we went a little longer with that than we planned on. But anyway, if you suffered through that or fast forward, at least maybe the end of the content was pretty good. I'll be sure to put a description so you can kind of figure out what's what. But anyway, thank you for subscribing here, and we'll see you guys again soon. We'll probably do this once a month, maybe even more. Depends on how you guys like it. And that's it, Joe. Anything else to say before we go?
No.
All right, we're out of here. Thank you, everyone.